Robot Geek.
Hey there, and welcome to Hardcast, where we valiantly discuss all things Valiant. I'm Humphrey.
And I'm Chris.
I'm notorious for making Chris like things that he didn't otherwise like.
Yeah. Is notorious the right word? What's the negative notoriousness?
Well, you have a notorious bandit, so I think that works.
Okay. Well, you're negatively notorious for making me like things that I shouldn't like.
Oh, I don't think you shouldn't like this. Either way, the latest thing that I made him like somewhat is Valiant. That is to say, Valiant Entertainment.
Right. Well, I'm not sure yet if I do like it. You're kind of pushing me towards it a little bit, and I'm liking more and more the kind of things that I'm seeing. So far, I've only seen 3 things from Valiant, and I've liked 2 of them. So it's a good ratio so far.
That's a good point. So Chris here, which ones have you read so far, so the audience knows?
Oh God, now I'm going to embarrass myself with my bad memory. Well, for preparation for this podcast, I read Manowar.
So Volume 1.
Volume 1, yeah. So the first 4 issues, I guess.
Yes.
And then I read The Valiant. Right?
Right, yeah. The 4-part miniseries, or whatever you'd call it.
Yeah, right. And then I read Woody.
Almost.
And God, I can't remember. What was the other guy's name?
Quantum
and Woody. That's the one, right?
You reversed it. You put the white guy in front, Chris.
To be honest, I did not know which one is the white guy and which one isn't the white guy. But yeah, Quantum and Woody. And, to be honest, the 2 that I liked were The Valiant and Manowar.
All right. Well, and that's kind of nice to see too, since Quantum and Woody is a little bit, it's part of the current Valiant universe, but a little bit separate.
Okay.
But
I'm still not quite sure what that means, but yeah, good.
All right. Well, you just, was it just a couple of, half an hour ago, you finished reading Manowar Volume 1?
Yeah, I started reading it last night, but, it got late, so I continued after work today.
All right. Well, please, and this is me as a fan, so I'd just love to hear your impressions.
All right, well, I guess, the whole idea of this podcast is to kind of, see what Valiant is like from the view of an outsider, right?
So yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, so I'm a huge history fan. Like any comic that you put into history is like already way better than any other comic for me. So opening up this comic and seeing that it was in Roman times, Romans conquering Europe, I was just like, oh shit, yeah, this is my thing. I love this.
So starting off with those warriors getting up on that hill and seeing that Roman army, that was like, yes.
Yeah, I was immediately like, okay, this is a good comic. Okay, I love this right here. So the setup is also really interesting. Then seeing that these aliens come in. I mean, again, having aliens come in a history setting is just like awesome. Like this is just a point where I'm looking at this comic, and this is like 10 pages in or 11 pages in, and I'm like, yes, I was totally sold right there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna at least read to the end of this bundle, like the 4 issues. Like, nothing was gonna stop me. Even if the second issue was totally horrible, I would have kept on reading just because the setup was so good. One thing I thought was kind of a shame was the, I don't know, because of course, being someone who has like dabbled in writing and stuff like that, I kind of see certain story cues, and I thought it was kind of a shame that the dad's sword broke in the first issue.
Oh yeah, when he breaks it against that armored vine.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it has it's going to lead to something, like it's going to come back. But I kind of looked at it as like, oh man, that could have been like a nice like mythical weapon or something like that, like infused by the power of his father or spirit of his father or some shit like that. But yeah, um, otherwise I did get a little bit of a secret invasion vibe from this whole thing.
So with the when they were doing that changeling thing.
Yeah, where they kind of changed that baby into one of their own, or kind of like, disguised him. So for the audience to understand, I have read a lot of Marvel and DC comics, and I'm more of a Marvel fan than a DC fan. So I know a lot about the Marvel universe. So I guess most of my comparisons will be to the Marvel universe. But yeah, so I guess then at the end of that first issue, you saw the aliens testing out that suit, and that killing the one brave warrior or some shit. And that kind of it's kind of obvious. It was kind of obvious right away that the hero, or that the what was it, Eric, is going to get that suit. I mean,
Really
you saw in the
surprised
cover.
me.
Oh yeah, right. But it's just like one of those things, like, oh, okay, here's the magical weapon that's going to make the hero into even more of a hero, or he's going to get what he deserved because he's so pure of heart. And yeah, so the second, third, and fourth issues, they weren't anything like big that I would say that kind of set an impression on me. So the first one was, of course, all this new stuff, and then the second, third, and fourth were kind of like, okay, this is the exposition issue, where they talk about all the stuff that's going on. Where are they right now? This is the second issue, about the whole, establishing the character more. He was helping the other slaves, even getting his hand cut off and all that kind of stuff, and he just gave off this typical hero vibe. The guy who helps other people, even to the harm of himself, and so it was again a little bit predictable. The second issue, the end of it, getting the suit, that I kind of knew right away that, okay, they're going to escape, and he's going to stumble across the suit, and then he's not going to understand what it is, but he's going to try it anyway, and then it accepts him, and everyone else, all the aliens would be like, oh god, it accepted him, and oh god, he's such a god or something. I don't know what the whole suit is, but they seem to be praying and bowing to it, so it must be some sort of deity or some armor given by a god or something like that. Yeah, and then the third issue was just a battle, basically. It was a good battle. It was I liked it. It was very interesting. I was really really into the whole battle of it. And then of course the end, when he landed in modern day Rome, that was a little bit confusing to me. I kind of still want, at the end of the book, I kind of needed the answers. Like, okay, he did mention that they were on the ship for years, but it couldn't have been that many years. So I'm thinking that it might have something to do with like light speed travel or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so he's there now, and yeah, I guess the only problem I had was in issue 4 when the aliens were talking. The priest and I guess the commander and the captain of the ship, or whatever the roles were there. I couldn't really keep them apart. I mean, sure, the one guy had
They all
a
look
weird
the same
cap
to
on,
me.
the other one had a yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, again, the only difference was that one guy had a cap on, one guy didn't have anything on, and the other one had a cape on. And sometimes in like the close-ups, I didn't really know who was who, but they were talking and they seemed threatening. And yeah, that whole thing at the end with Alexander, I kind of my first vibe from him was kind of a Tony Stark kind of character. I thought he was going to be like a hero that was going to come and help Eric kind of figure out where he was. But then obviously he's now part of that alien race. I guess they're called the Vine.
Yes, that's the name of the
Yeah.
species.
Yeah, the Vine. And he's gonna go and I guess capture Eric or try to kill him or get the suit back. Yeah. Again, I really like the comic so far, and I'm actually kind of excited to read the next one because I want to know what happens, especially how he got into the future.
So
I gotta say, I was a little bit disappointed they didn't go back to ancient Rome. I was a little bit disappointed, just a little bit.
yeah, I was thinking about that too, because you earlier after you had read the first issue, you wrote to me and said like, "Oh man, it's history and all that stuff. If it
Yeah.
continues that way, I'm gonna love it." And I was kind of like, "Ooh."
Well, it was the same thing when I read the Valiant. Just that really made me interested in the character Gilad or Gilad. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but yeah.
Yeah, because he has that whole history thing, and that's why when we were talking about it the other time, also when we were talking about it for your article, we that was my favorite character. I got to say that still within this universe, he is my favorite character. I should probably find out how to pronounce his name then if I'm saying that he's my favorite character.
So I'm not sure I exact like how to pronounce it myself. It's one of those kind of ambiguous spellings. Kind of, is it Gilad? Gilad?
Is it GIF or GIF? Or...
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I'll probably go on to just Wikipedia and have the computer say his name to me or something like that. Maybe that helps.
Yeah, well, either way, we know who it is. And if not, you can just call him the Eternal Warrior.
Yes, the Eternal Warrior.
So it rolls right off the tongue.
Exactly.
But yeah, but this is very interesting to hear because, again, this was the first, what's called, after when they relaunched in 2012. So Exo Manowar was the first issue they released. So it was the summer of Valiant. So I believe it started in June or July. So and they started that month they released one issue, which was Exo Manowar. The next month they released issue 2 along with the issue 1 of Harbinger, and so on and so forth. Like kind of slowly, starting it off. Not like not 52 new issues at once. So number ones.
Just yeah.
Well, they don't have enough characters anyways for that. So
right. Well, again, I think it's kind of nice to just kind of introduce people slowly to it, and obviously, if you have 52 comics at once, it's kind of overpowering, and you just get your favorite characters. And with this, you had the chance to really try out everyone.
Exactly. I believe right now they have around 9 series at once, released per month.
That's totally manageable.
Exactly. No, but it is. I mean, sure, it's all about how much money you want to spend on the comics, especially as they come out. They always, at least on Comixology, they always lower the price a bit for older issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to keep it up, it's still about, $4 a piece. But still, $45 a month for, following this cool universe. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
And also what's interesting... and also, that's why I'm kind of glad to hear that, it's a hit in your eyes. Because, again, since this was what they started with, it's also then what... I wouldn't say that it's the catalyst for everything in the universe. But Exo Manowar kind of has been the center of most big things happening so far. So he's, in a sense...
this whole alien invasion thing...
Exactly. I mean, that's going to, cause a lot of issues on Earth and affect a lot of characters.
Okay.
But also in this sense of his importance to the universe. In the sense of, like, if you look like in DC, for example, you have, like, the Trinity. You have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And him, while not in terms of powers or, character... He's kind of the Superman in the sense of this science fiction, science fiction powered character, so to speak.
Okay.
And sort of his importance and overall power level. So from what I remember reading...
but it's just the armor then. He doesn't actually get any powers himself.
So not yet from what I remember, from what I've read. So he's basically what's called Iron Man and like...
Yeah.
But I was gonna mention that too, because I noticed when I was kind of trying to think of some topics, I came up with three characters. He's kind of, again, not going to use the word rip off because, everything's a rip off.
Right. Yeah.
But I noticed, what's called similarities with Captain America in terms of fish out of temporal water.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this character does remind me a lot about Captain America. Again, just the way he is about the whole heroic thing. This thing about like, you know, getting someone else out of the way of a bullet and getting it and catching it himself. Um, where he just saved that other slave or that other animal um, from the from that whatever guard or whatever you would call it, and then got his hand cut off. I mean, I was looking at it and I was thinking, yeah, that's something that Steven Rogers would do, or Steve Rogers would do.
No, you're not. You can call him Steven.
Yeah, I can call him Steven. Um, but yeah, that's the kind of thing that he would do. And I was kind of looking at him going, okay, this seems familiar. Yeah, but again, Captain America is also not the only hero who does that kind of stuff. There's a lot of heroes that do that, and to take a idea from screenwriting, the whole save the cat moment also happened here with him, sacrificing his hand basically to, I guess, stop this one guy from getting a whipping.
Yeah, and it
Which
didn't
again,
matter because he grew it back.
right. So he did grow it back. It wasn't just the suit that kind of gave it a prosthetic or something like that.
Oh, while he has the armor on.
Yeah, I kind of thought that it might have. I mean, he did say that it was a whole miracle thing, so um, maybe maybe I guess he did grow back. I mean, one of my first thoughts was he's going to get some sort of cool prosthetic that then is like a gun or something like that, kind of like a Mega Man blaster thing.
So even when he doesn't have the armor on, or when he
Well,
has it.
maybe like it becomes like the armor when he doesn't have it on, like on his body. It then just goes into the hand, and then he has an extra hand that's in the kind of color scheme of the armor, so it kind of stays dormant in his hand, and then when he needs it, it grows over his entire body.
So that's kind of cool.
Well, that was just an idea that I had when I saw the hand come off. Because again, I see it from like Aquaman in the old Aquaman in the previous 52, where he had the hook for the hand and then all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I saw. I mean, especially maybe it's just the blonde hair and the blonde beard that kind of reminded me of Aquaman a little bit.
So, well, he kind of gets that. I mean, I know you don't like the kind of. I mean, you like the king part of Aquaman. In the
Yeah,
sense of that
I like the new 52 Aquaman.
Yeah, so he kind of has that in it, in that he is royalty in that sense.
Is he royalty?
So actually, now I'm not quite sure. Now that you mention it, I mean, he's he's high up in terms of what's called his society. But yeah, you're right. I don't think he's actually like. Oh,
No, I don't think he. All I think he is, he's just the best warrior, the the one warrior who can defeat anyone kind of thing.
you know what? I'm gonna have to reread or some stuff because I feel some stuff is brought up later, but it might have I might be mixing it up somehow.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I feel that overall that's kind of makes him an interesting character in that sense.
Yeah, he is.
It's definitely not the Marvel manner of the how should we say, like the ordinary person getting powers.
No,
Even at the time, like even in his time period, he's not an ordinary person.
no, he was even at his time. He was a big. He was a hero. He was a. Yeah.
Exactly, and again, both
Yeah.
ways are fine, but I just kind of feel like that's an interesting way to start off your universe there.
Right. Well, because I feel the suit is kind of like Thor's hammer, but just a little bit more deadly.
Instead of not
So
just working, it kills you.
yeah, it kills you when you kind of don't get accepted. Um, so yeah, I mean, he proved himself before, and now he can take the armor, and yeah. I gotta say one thing that I did not notice. I'm kind of looking at the comic again right now, and it's just the time skip. I did not realize the time skip until they mentioned it.
What do you mean time skip? Like on the ship or after he came back to Earth?
On the ship, I mean, yeah, he did grow a beard at some point, but I didn't realize that it's been years between the time.
Yeah, no, it was just like a little caption
Oh,
somewhere.
right, yes, now I see it. I'm on the page right now. It says literally years later. I just like, holy crap.
Well, again,
I
the
totally
beard
missed
kind
that.
of tips it off anyways, unless it's just a face warmer.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I don't know. I guess I was just more focused on the hand because he wrapped the hand, and then next morning it just goes black, and then he wakes up, and then he has to. I was kind of noticing the hand still in bandage, and I was like, oh, okay, so he just woke up now. I guess again I just missed the years later caption on the top. I mean, I see it now. I'm looking at it right now, but I missed it in my first read.
Well, it's an easy thing to miss in that sense. I mean, I mean, again, you can't really blame the comic for that. It's
No,
placed
no, of
all
course not. It's just
fine.
my
But
fault. Yeah, yeah.
I was also wondering your thoughts on in terms of comparisons again.
Okay.
So what's called it's kind of like a twofer. You take like how do you compare like his suit to Iron Man? Because those guys they even had a crossover game in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it sucked apparently from what I've seen.
Okay.
So and it wasn't like wasn't well regarded or well made, but they did team up in a game.
All right.
And again, obviously they were thinking, well, he's got a power suit, he's got a power suit, team up.
Yes. Yeah.
But I was also,
Um.
or yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean, like in comparison? Like which one do I find better or?
Well, not in terms of better, but how it like works. Because with Iron Man, it's him creating it. It showcases
Right.
him as a character's.
Okay. Well, I think this suit, I guess it's the Manowar suit.
Yeah.
Um, it's more organic, at least it looks that way. So I think it kind of relates more to his body, like in the sense of um, with Iron Man with his suit, he still controls it with his. It's kind of like an exoskeleton,
Mm.
he moves his arm and the machines move with it, kind of thing, whereas with this suit, I think it's more of it's like a part of him, like it kind of melds into his body, and yeah, it becomes one with the body, so that then they can do things like regenerate his hand and heal him and do all that kind of stuff. And from what I've seen so far, it gives him incredible strength. He's immune to the bullets or whatever the things are that the Vine are shooting at him. He has some sort of blasters in his hand, kind of similar to Iron Man. Of course, he can fly or at least somewhat boost. Um, he has rockets. It seems very close to Iron Man, except for I guess again this biological thing instead of the mechanical thing.
So, which brings me to another character that, in a sense, is more similar. What's called the third Blue Beetle.
Yes, I was gonna say that
Ah,
it's more of a Blue Beetle kind of thing. I was actually thinking about that right when you were when you were asking the question like about how Iron Man and this suit is similar. Um, but yeah, Blue Beetle. That would be my answer to that.
so even has the alien origin.
Exactly,
So and
exactly, and
also,
it's even blue
well, yeah,
a
so a
little
part of
bit.
it, yeah. But I am curious, design-wise, what do you think of the suits?
I like it. I mean, it's nothing uh, too different in that sense. I like the idea that there's that whole, the orange part or yellow part that is very like muscly, like not in sense of like muscle as in like guns or something like that. I'm talking about like actual like muscle, like the red muscle underneath our skin. It has that kind of design, so it kind of brings more in this whole thing that it's a biological thing. It's not mechanical like entirely. It has this biological aspect, and then it has the mechanical parts to it. So it's kind of like a meld between technology and biology, and I kind of like that. That's kind of a nice set.
Yeah, well, it gives a lot of leeway. I mean, again, and I don't think this is a bad thing, but it has a lot of this thing with the new powers as the plot demands.
Right, right.
And it's also useful as a kind of a guide. As you remember when he got it on, he mentioned like, "Oh, it's like I'm remembering things I've never known." It's
Right. Yeah,
filling him
yeah.
with information, both language. He like translates, and then he fills him up on all the what's called 1,000 years he's missed.
Yeah.
So it's again, it's one of those. It's a very convenient what's called piece of armor,
Yeah.
and which
I
helps
was
with him with the whole what's called huge values dissonance he's going to have on this new Earth.
okay. Well, again,
Like he's
one
not
one
even
of
going
the
to have.
no, it's
Yes.
just one of the things that I notice is the if I mean I was going to say that it's really well designed in the sense of all the joints are um yellow or have this muscle texture, kind of gives this idea that he's very movable. He can move pretty easily in the suit. But then I saw on his belt part there's that sharp little thing going up right in his like stomach area, and that must suck if he kind of like curls up a little bit. I mean, because that's going to go straight into his abdomen.
So okay, no, I never thought about that. Well, since
Well,
it
just
molds itself, I'm sure it fixes that when if he has to.
yeah, probably. That's his weakness. Maybe that's the way to defeat him. Just get him to curl up in the corner, and then he's going to stab himself in the stomach.
So Exo, duck and cover.
You found my one weakness. Yeah,
All right. So yeah, no, but that's the kind of thing. What's called? I'm glad to see that it's since again this is the cornerstone character. It would suck if he was like totally irredeemable or just boring. Because that would set the tone for the entire universe.
of course. And I think they did very well with this character.
So even
Just
as
kind of
even as a first issue, because that's always what I forget with trades that they come out
yeah,
monthly. Because I remember I had you read Spawn once, like the first volume of Spawn,
yeah,
and you mentioned that okay, as a trade, okay, it kind of is a whole origin story.
yeah,
But if you had to wait, and I believe it was like 2 or 3 months for the second issue because they had all these problems with deadlines.
yeah,
That first
yeah. I
issue
remember
would
that.
not you would not have been like, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, yeah,
But this worked well. I mean, and this came out. These have been monthly and with no problem.
yeah. Well, again, they're not Spawn. Um, but with this comic, I think just the first issue, it ended on a nice cliffhanger. The aliens just came. They just put one of their own into, and they just replaced one of their own with a human child. Our hero is lost. His sword is broken. Or his father's sword is broken. And they get captured, and then they get brought up to an alien ship, and then they're slaves, and they see the power armor, they see that it kills and all that stuff, and it's interesting. It's a nice cliffhanger. You want to know what happens next.
All right, and you don't feel
So,
cheated by the cover?
well, I mean, it's kind of obvious, that this hero that we're introduced to gets the suit. You know what I mean?
So
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I could have wanted to see him have the electric sword, but you know, maybe that's still going to come.
well, he did have his electric sword. It was in his fight against Commander Trill again.
What?
Yeah,
Where?
when he was called, I believe it would be the third issue, so third or fourth, when he's fighting, and what's called when he recognizes the armor, and then he like runs at him, and then he kind of just through pure instinct creates this lightning sword.
I need to go back to it and check it out.
Again, it's not like
Oh,
it's
okay. Well, that was okay. No, I did not see that. I thought that was just a beam of some sort. Like that did not at all look like a sword to me.
okay.
Now that you mentioned it, I mean, it's literally 3 panels,
Mm.
and I don't know. Are you looking at the page right now? It's
So yeah,
it's literally like his it's a close up of his hand, and it has this yellow electricity around it, and then it's from his back while he's swinging out, like he's kind of like putting his arm back, and there's more just electric lightning coming from his hand, and then he's already swung and hit the glass, and then there's a sword there. I guess you could call it a sword. But then already in the next page, it's gone. Like there's nothing there. And I just thought it was some sort of an energy blast that he had in his hand. That,
kind of like Flash does froze those lightning bolts.
Yeah, but he had it in his hand. And then when he swung and hit the glass, then when he kind of like let the hand kind of move to the end, kind of swing out, that the electricity kind of kept moving. That it was kind of like a motion drawing, that you kind of like saw that they drew the motion of the electricity going past where his fist was.
All right. I didn't mean to.
No, but seriously, that's kind of cheap. I mean, that's not a sword. The sword would be like like a lightsaber. The first time you get this electricity sword, you're like, holy shit, it's an electrical sword that I have in my hand. You don't just like accidentally like, whoops, I smacked someone with smacked some glass with an electric sword.
All right, I get you. And he will have it properly later.
That's good. I'm looking forward to that.
So, but yeah, no, it's I think that's about wraps it up in terms of overall questions. So, I mean, again, this is the start of the Valiant universe rebooted. It's different. Part of the reason why they rebooted it was because they lost a lot of characters that were licensed to them originally.
How did they lose them?
Well, the thing was, when Valiant started, they and I guess in a sense to have kind of some kind of branding already. Mm-hmm. They bought the properties of Gold Key characters. Yeah, some old kind of like pulpy kind of characters from the 60s.
Okay.
So which included Solar, Man of the Atom, Magnus, Robot Fighter, and this guy you might have heard of, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter.
Wait, was there a video game made from him?
Yeah.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah, but that was a rebooted version of him in the mid-90s. They've had this is their third reboot, Valiant.
Huh, okay.
Because the second, like the first not this their second reboot, but in their second iteration, they were purchased by Acclaim. Do you ever remember that video game publisher?
No. Oh wait, Acclaim. Yeah, no, video game. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, they bought Valiant because they thought, you know what? Let's take these characters, but let's retool them so they work better for games.
Okay.
That way you kind of have the comics to promote your game, and then you also have like an idea factory. It didn't work though.
All right.
But yeah, the games. But anyways, they had those characters. So started off in Valiant with those 3 characters, but then they started like from there creating their original characters, but joining them all together.
Okay.
So they had like nothing related to each other before, but thanks to Valiant, they were making them related. But then now they don't have those because they lost their rights to that when they went bankrupt. And then Dynamite bought the rights for those characters. So yeah, you can't have the same stuff anymore. But yeah, no, it's again, this is the start of it's a new universe, a shared superhero universe.
Okay.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting. This is like their big sci-fi one. It's like space opera-like and like very action. It's also the only one of their current like titles that hasn't stopped being released.
Okay, so it's still continuing today.
Yeah, it's nearing issue number 50, which is a big thing for like an American monthly comic.
Nice.
So all the other ones have only come up to like issue 25, have kind of like a big finale, and then they're retooling it.
Okay.
So, like, Archer and Armstrong is coming back right now, I believe, this month or next month. And, but they haven't been, like, published in a while now. So after issue 25. So it's a lot of things like that. They kind of, like, they look at the sales, I guess, and see, yeah, I don't think people are going to suddenly start coming further after issue 25.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd rather reboot it.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, this is what's cool. I think
that sounds good.
Yeah, and
the end of the comic was pretty pretty good for me too. You know, the last page of the comic book, not the comic, but the comic book really, um, was the volume 2 preview basically. Enter Ninjak.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
That looks interesting. If I didn't want to read the next issue or the next volume already, this kind of makes me want to. That looks kind of cool, especially the cover for the volume.
Yeah,
With the suit. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Something broke the suit.
Yeah, the sword through the suit is kind of cool.
Who is Ninjak? Find out next time on the Exo Manowar.
Yeah. So what are we going to be listening or what are we going to be reading next time?
Next time, we'll be reading Harbinger, Volume 1.
Harbinger. Where does that come? Is that's the next one, right? That's the
Yeah, that's the one that was published right after, like the month after.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah. So, and again, a different kind of like style, a different kind of genre within the superhero genre. So, like a different approach to it in that sense. And I do have some questions for that once we get there, because this one actually has a lot of Marvel comparisons I'd like to use.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, that was Hardcast. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to, well,